How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
And welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast. Along with my partners, Brian Siegler, Jonathan Talley, and Shelton Moss, I am Curtis Wilson. And this episode is brought to you by Dr. Jeremy Counts down at the Main Street Pharmacy in Blacksburg, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, 301 South Main Street, Blacksburg. Fellas, been a while since all four of us got together. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm a little under the weather. I've been fighting a little scratchy throat, a little cold, but I'm rocking and rolling, man.
What about you, Sheldon?
Been doing good, man. Busy with work, but I really enjoyed the Hokies beatdown of UVA last night. A historic beatdown, no less. So that made the week a lot better.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. Tally, now Brian's sick this week. You were sick last week, what you tell us,
Last
right?
week, man, a little bit sick. Got to tell Brian he needs to stay out of the whorehouses. That's where you get sickness from. Stay out of there. I'm glad that y'all gonna talk a little hoops because I renounced basketball altogether for about maybe a couple of weeks. You know, Lakers don't do nothing. So, hey, it's All-Star week. They scoring 200 points.
Oh my God!
In the All-Star game, I ain't watching that shit. You know, the Hokies have been what they have. So I'm excited to hear what y'all got to say because I ain't watched shit.
You ain't watch it? Well,
no, I ain't watched it.
Okay, well, you're going to find something about what happened last night in a little while here when we talk about hoops. But we're going to start off tonight. Me and Brian had the opportunity yesterday, and we sat down with the offensive coordinator of the Virginia Tech Hokies, Tyler Bowen. So we're going to start off with the interview there. And Brian has a good time. I think we could have went longer because Kyron mentioned, like, he's a funny guy. There are a couple times he pushed that chair back like he was ready to go on us.
Yeah, man. Super bright dude, very sharp, but like you can tell that he's ready to roll and has a really good personality and can definitely, somebody you'd want to have a beer with and hang out and just pick their brain a little bit. So
absolutely.
We'll fire it up here and we'll talk about it a little bit once it's done here.
Boundary Corner podcast listeners, today we have a very special guest with us. We're introducing Coach Tyler Bowen, your offensive coordinator. Coach Bowen, how are you today?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Doing good. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. I know it's busy. I know y'all are kind of just wrapping up the big push with the recruiting for 2025. So I appreciate you taking the time and joining us tonight.
That's all good. Appreciate you guys pushing the brand, supporting Virginia Tech. Love the show. I'm glad to be on it.
Appreciate you, Coach. And let's start there because right now I know the big push right now off season phase 1. You got winter workouts, hunger drills every Tuesday and Thursday. In what ways are you as quarterback coach and offensive coordinator? How are you evaluating players' development during phase 1 of the off season?
Well, starting out, I love this time of the year, right? We call it phase 1 for a reason. You can't get to the 4th one until you accomplish this one, right? So we're all about it. We're boots on the ground. I love being back on campus and off the road and on the grass with these guys. So that part's been fun. But I love this time of the year because I think it's a time you strip everything down to the studs and start over. Nothing. You can have experiences from year to year that you can build on and draw on and things like that. But you got to strip it back down to the studs and build it back up. And phase one's a great time to do that. So when we're on the field right now, from a quarterback perspective, but the whole offense, it's building the entire offense back up and layering it from 100 level up. We talk about it like it's a class, right? You got to accomplish 100 level before you can move to 200 level. So that's been fun. It's also been fun, just like you're talking about, to be able to, see some early enrollees get on campus and see them on the grass, see transfers on the grass, and then also see the improvements that our roster's made from last year to now, right? What they put in the month of January. That's been fun. So we're looking at all, but I love this time of the year because it's really a time to really build up from the basics and start from there.
What is that emphasis that Coach Bry has on competition? What can you kind of see from that, from these winter workouts and those hunger drills?
Yeah, it's awesome, right? That's a fundamental for our program. It's pretty neat, right? Every drill is competitive. So when we're running that agility circuit or whatever we're doing, there's a matchup, right? So they all have an individual matchup, and then there's individual group and team competitions at the end. So, putting them in a mindset to compete, that's a big piece of it. It's not just when you hit the grass, you've got to have a mindset to win at all times. And I think we're able to build that in our hunger drills in phase one.
Yeah, I absolutely love hearing you talk about taking it down to the studs every year, because you're right. Like, what happened last year is last year. We can't go back. We can build upon it, but we can't effectively had an 8th win, add a 9th win. We've got to start over again. Let me ask you this. We talked to Coach Pry last year, and he mentioned how he's always looking to improve, changing when needed. So let me ask you this. As you head into latter stages of phase one, getting into spring ball there, is there anything from year 1 to year 3, or even this year or last year to this year, that you've changed in preparing for those 15 practices and the spring game itself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're trying to evolve every year, right? I think the only bad plan is one that can't change. You gotta be willing to adapt, be willing to evolve. I know, as soon as the season ends, I start getting the itch. You take a couple of days, but you start getting the itch of, what are best practices. So we look at everything to try to evolve our offense, best practices in college, best practices in the NFL. And what I mean by that from a schematic standpoint, who are the top 5 teams on 3rd and 3 to 6? We can make a big step there. What are they doing? Is there anything common with those 5 teams? Is there something that we could implement that fits our identity, right? Same thing, red zone touch, whatever area. So we've been going through that process. That'll continue to go on. We look at that. Every level of college, also the NFL. We're just looking for little nuances, best practices, just looking to evolve the scheme every year. I think this is a time of the year where obviously professional development, calling people, getting ideas. I think things like that, going to visit people, we're starting with that. But then also, you mentioned it, you're looking every year, how can we evolve and adapt maybe how we installed last year compared to how we want to install this year, right? What are strengths of our personnel that we can kind of foresee? What do we want to build around? So we're constantly looking at that and, how we can change, how we can make it, a better learning process for the players, a better install schedule. So we're doing all of those things right now before we roll into spring ball. And we actually started implementing some of those in phase one.
Very nice.
That's awesome to hear. And it's awesome to hear that it's always a continually evolution. Like, there's always that room for improvement, room for growth, right? We're going to pivot a little bit here to talk about something else. A lot of the transfer portal capital was spent on the defensive side of the ball this turnaround, but there was a huge ad on the offensive side with Montavious Cunningham on the offensive line. What impressed you the most about him, and are you looking for him to kind of slot in at that tackle spot, or is he going to move inside to guard, you think?
Well, I think, going back to what attracted us to him, just from a film standpoint and a measurable standpoint, right? He's a guy that's got a ton of experience, started this past year at tackles, got some guard experience as well. And then he's got length, size, and athleticism, and that's what we're constantly trying to improve up front and really at every position, right? We want to have the biggest, longest, most athletic team we can put on the field. And that applies in a lot of positions, but especially at the offensive line. That helps you just from the get-go. So I think that, but then getting him on campus, him and his family, like the type of fit he was going to be, the type of aptitude he had, the type of motivation he had to come to a place like Virginia Tech and compete to earn a job. As far as position right now, I think our job, and I'm going to kind of pivot to offensive line in general, we've got to be in a mindset of making sure we put our best 5 on the field, right? That's got to be the starting point to create that starting O-line. And really, as much as we look about, we look at it as, okay, this guy's the left tackle, this guy's the right tackle, left guard, right guard, center, so on and so forth. It's really being able to get a ranked number of 1 through 10, 1 through 15. Where do these guys fit, as far as their playing ability, right? That's what we're constantly trying to evaluate now, phase 1, going into phase 2, all those things. So I think the biggest thing with Montavious, there's some position flexibility there. He'll be able to come in and compete on the interior. He's got some tackle flex to move out, but I think he provides a piece in there. You can get in there and battle to be in that top 5.
Yeah, you guys really have preached that since day one. It felt like here. It's like get your best 5 on the field when it comes to the offensive line, and y'all have not shied away from that at all in the last 3 years. So I love to hear that as a continuing, this is what we're going to do. We're not trying to go all over the place. Best 5, we'll play them. I'm going to ask
to piggyback on that. I think, that goes in the way Coach Crook coached those guys. I mean, I think we do a really nice job from starting with him, and cross-training those guys. You got to start a young player in a position to get them comfortable with the scheme, right? To like, hey, this is the play call. I'm moving in this direction. This is my technique. But the techniques really carry over across the board. I'm either a covered player or uncovered player on most plays, right? So those techniques start to go. Then you figure out, okay, who's got the athleticism? Who can we get out in space? Things like that. So they're developing all those skills. You got to start them, from a one position spot. And then I think Coach Crook does a really nice job of moving those guys around.
Yeah, I like that. And, when we talk about that, like position flexibility is so important. And I love that Crook has been preaching that, has done a good job with that cross training. That's really important to hear. Let's talk a little bit of scheme though. So, you began last season. You had Grant Wells starting at quarterback, but by week 2, you had a different young man under center. What was your philosophy during that change, and in what ways did Kyron's skill set create new opportunities for the offense?
Yeah, I think the first thing, right, is Kyron, true triple threat guy, right? He can do it with his legs, he can do it with his arm. He's got a ton of aptitude to what we were able to put on him from a scheme standpoint, and the checks he can make at the line, things like that. That was neat to watch him grow into that role on the offense. So I think all of those things lead to it. But when you really think about the turning point is getting the run game going, right? Any successful offense, you want to be able to win the rushing battle. And I think with his skill set back there, you're able to build on it, right? You're never outnumbered in the box, right? Now you get an extra hat in the box. It's not always the answer to have to throw against outnumbered, right? Now you've got the opportunity to truly read a player and put a guy in conflict and him be a real threat with his legs. So I think that opened up a lot of things, and then continue as the season went to be able to build on play action concepts around that to create some explosive passes, move guys around, get them in different spots where the defense can't key on them. But I think it all started with him opening that up with his running ability.
Absolutely. I want to ask about that because you sit here and you talk about the run game, getting it going to play action. One play that takes me back last year was against Wake Forest. Y'all ran the RPO, and that safety he just said, oh, we're running the ball. And the next thing you know, you had Jay Lane on a little post. When you guys are just looking, breaking down the tape, are y'all looking for tendencies like that? Like this guy, when he sees an RPO, he will come to the line quickly. It's who he is as a player.
Yeah, I think when you talk about, and that is, I think a lot gets made about RPO. So we got all types of categories for those. So a lot of what we do some TTO. Those are triple throw options. They're really in the triple option realm, right? We got RPOs, which we want to run the ball first, pass it if we get outnumbered, right? And then you've got a PRO world where we're throwing the ball, unless they cover it up. Now we've got run numbers back in the box. So we categorize all those things, but certainly like in an RPO world, we're constantly looking, how do they want to support that formation from a run standpoint, right? Now, and a lot goes into that, right? Defensive call predicates that, back alignment, different things formationally, how they want to support the run. So that's something we're looking for every week, right? If there's two ways to look at it, right? We could read a guy to run, or we could read a guy to throw. That was a situation they were supporting hard to our running back. We kind of noticed that. We got that tag up in the game, and Kyron was able to go take advantage of it. Did a really nice job reading the play.
100%. I want to keep the subject here with Kyron for a minute, because we had him on just a couple weeks ago, and he talked about the enthusiasm you had getting him to Blacksburg and the relationship you two guys had built from that initial plane trip and lunch down in Waco back over a little over a year ago now. But let's talk about how that's developed since you became the quarterback coach. What makes that offensive coordinator and quarterback one relationship so special, both personally and then on the field?
Yeah, I mean, as simple as this sounds, it's just two guys being on the same page. And I feel that, right? Understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses, understanding thought process. Hey, there's little things, right? When a play call comes in and it gets signaled and he sees it, he knows exactly what I'm thinking because of how we've gone about our meeting process that week, what that plays in the game plan for. I think there's just more – it's more cohesive from those standpoints. It's a little bit more natural. And then I think it's also, being in the room and understanding him and what he sees well, what fits his eye. These are things he's going to do really well. These are areas we need to improve on. And being able to build on those, it's really as simple as that, right? Just two guys getting on the same page, and ultimately, play caller and player that's going to make a decision on every snap that we go out there on offense, being on the same page of really the why behind what we're doing, not necessarily the what and how.
All right. I love hearing that. I love hearing the relationship, but I think what you say there is that in that room, because you said it. I give that call. He knows exactly what we talked about in that room, and he's going to go out there and do it. Let's go to last year, man, because what a season that was. It was a roller coaster, but in the end, what a great stretch in the last 2 months. And when you look back on it in retrospect of the 2023 season, what area are you looking to most improve into 2024?
Yeah, well, number one, you're saying all the right things. That was last year, right? And that's been that's the biggest message right now, right? We, ultimately, when we look at it, we season still didn't go as we wanted. We were, we were where we were at the end of the year. There were some nice things, but that was just that. It was last year. We got a brand new team right now. There's some experience we can build off of. But ultimately, when I look at us right now, we're going back, right? The first thing you do in the off season before you start going to study other people, you study yourself, right? And we're going through a self-scout process, and we take everything, again, like I always joke about it, like you're tearing a house down to the studs and building it back up. So looking at really the process, at how players make decisions on each play, the techniques that we were coaching, how can we coach this better? How can we make it simpler to install? So we're looking at all that. And what I see, there's just so many areas that we just need to tighten up, right? We're obviously going to evolve from a scheme standpoint. There were some good plays as the season unfolded, but if we can just tighten everything up, if we can understand a little bit more of the why behind what we're doing, if we can get our hat 6 inches over on an outside run, if we can hit those landmarks, there's a lot more yards and a lot more points to go on the field. And again, I'll tie that right back into the thing we started with. That's the beauty of phase one, right? It's about those things. It's about the first step. It's about not false stepping. It's about the drive off the ball, the release against outside leverage press, right? Where's my hat on this outside run, right? It's about all those things. And really, when you look at it, it's a simple game. If we can tighten up those 100 level things and then apply them to a 400 level play that we're going to present to the defense, we're going to be much better as an offense. And that's really been the message, right? How can we get better at the basics? We can't get bored with being really good at the basics. First step, hand placement, hat placement, release, coverage recognition, progression, timing, footwork in the pocket, like all those little things are going to lead to us having more success. And we're always going to look to evolve, right? That's not meaning we're going to roll out and it's going to be the same look that it always is. You're going to look to evolve. But at the end, no matter what we do schematically, it's going to come down to those basic 100 level things getting executed at a high level.
Yeah, you got to have those fundamentals. You got to be able to execute consistently. So if you're not doing those things, it's going to be hard to kind of take that next big step and put in some new wrinkles. So I can appreciate where you're coming from there. And I love you talking offensive line lingo here because, I mean, this is an offensive line podcast. I played O-line Division III back in the early 2000s. So I love all of the terminology that you're throwing out there. But and I firmly believe this. Offensive linemen make the best offensive coordinators. I've always said it.
We sure hope so, right?
I've had a bunch in my career, and I definitely will hold firm to that belief. But you had a head coach when you were at Maryland, Ralph Friedgren, that we're familiar with as Hokie fans, both from playing in the latter years of his career in the ACC, but also from all of those times that he shared with Frank Beamer and other stops in his career. He was a dynamite play caller, and he played everything in college himself, starting at quarterback and then finishing his career at guard.
Moving closer to the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he kept moving closer to the ball. I don't think he would mind me saying that.
Yeah. So, but I love that about him, and I just wanted to see if what were some of the things from an offensive coordinator and play caller perspective that you learned from Coach Friedgren.
Coach Friedgren, number one, he had a huge impact on me. Number one, getting into coaching. When I was a player at Maryland, I was a tackle. Didn't have a very illustrious career by any stretch as a player. Ended up having a career-ending injury in my third year, and he's the one that kind of taught me into coaching. And one of the best things he ever did for me was early, right? I'm starting on the ground floor. Number one, he told me, he was very crass and to the point. He said, "Hey, Tyler, the only reason you had a chance to travel and even be in this position was because you were smart." He said, "So I feel good about where you're developing as an offensive line coach." So what he did is he put me in a very uncomfortable situation. He had me sit in the quarterback room for 2 years, and just really expanded my knowledge of the game. But what I can always appreciate about him from that standpoint, I understand, how he coached, is that it all starts from the inside out if you want to be good. That offensive line's got to be a heartbeat of the team, that quarterback being in sync with decision-making. And Coach Friedgren was one of those guys. He could sit in an offensive meeting room and coach everything from the split of the wide receiver to the first step of the left guard to the exchange between the center and the quarterback to him to the run. I mean, it was just impressive what he could do. So I think, that made a huge impression on me, is right when you get into this, like really understanding each position in detail, understanding how that all relates to the big picture. So he made a huge impression on me from that standpoint. And then as a play caller, the variety of scheme he was able to implement, in one offense. When we were in college, everything from triple option concepts like true veer, under center, to spread elements, to RPOs before they were a buzzword term that everybody likes talking about, to, two back power out of 22 personnel. He could really coach it all and in great detail. So he did a great job of just helping me expand my knowledge and really giving me the itch and the fire to want to be a coach.
Man, that's awesome to hear. I also find it so interesting that he asked you to go to the QB room. Now, first of all, you were clearly the tallest guy in that room by miles, right?
Tallest guy. And when I said that he gave me a compliment of smart, that only meant that I knew what to do at tackle. I found out really quick. Yeah, I didn't know anything else. He broke me down to the studs and built me up again as a coach.
There we go. I love that.
But it shows a lot that he had that trust in you to say, I believe you can get in that room in our understanding our concepts, because that does say a lot about him having that belief in you to go in there, man. And let me pivot a little bit, because talking about somebody who could put together a drive, who could put together great play calls. Last year, are there any games or drives that stick out to you where we're going to borrow some from J.C. Price, who was on with us a few weeks ago, where you felt like every time you looked down on your sheet, called to play, you rolled a 7? Any games like that last year or drives?
There were good moments. I'm not going to remember them all from last year. I'm trying to watch. I thought our guys did a excellent job. Like thinking back to the Syracuse game, it just seemed like the Russian attack that night, the way we were attacking, the way the guys were executing, the way the ball carriers were running. That was just probably a feeling that sticks out. But I think there were multiple instances of that, and I think the big thing is this also. How can we make that consistent? How can we become more consistent? And it goes back to all those little things.
Awesome.
Love hearing that. Definitely the Syracuse game, Ryan.
You know what? It stood out on both sides of the ball. We've said it. We said it all year, man. So last big question here. We don't have him on today, but our analytics man, Shelton Moss, he said that one of the biggest predicators of next year's outcome is the prior year's outcome. I know as a coach, we're trying to forget last season, right? We're trying to forget all of that, right? But and coaches hate thinking about how we finished in 2023, and all that. But based on a lot of the media outlets, we're looking at a lot of returning production on the offensive side of the ball. As an offensive coordinator, does that type of continuity make your job easier, for lack of a better word?
I don't know if I'd say easier. I'd say exciting. I think it's exciting anytime you've got, this much return in production and potential continuity between the guy that's going to be throwing the football and handing it off and the guys that are going to be around them. I think that's something we're excited to build upon. It really has, I'll say it both ways, right? The continuity, I think, is important and what we're all excited about, but it's being able to take the next steps with those guys, right? Making sure we're doing a good job developing the individual player to be able to come into the group and be a better player to make our offense better, right? So we're full steam ahead on that, but certainly the continuity is great. And I think like the big thing that always sticks in my mind, right? That all adds up to potential, right? And it's our job as a coaching staff, and it's our job as we go into phase one and we go into phase two and we accomplish these things throughout the year. We got to turn that potential into production. Yep. So right now that's how I look at it, right? There's a ton of potential. You can look at it a lot of different ways, but we got to strip it down to the studs. We got to build it back up. We got to build it back up better than before and make sure that we go out and produce on the field.
Man, I keep hearing the studs thing, and I keep thinking like all these guys coming.
That's my go-to right now.
It is, man. It's great. It's a great thing that anyone that's ever built anything understands. But I love you keep saying that, because for all those guys, the continuity of the guys coming back, you can look and say, what you do well. Let's get that better. What don't you do well? How can we make that better? Because if you make that better, the stuff you got going good for you already is going to be there. And I love you saying that, because it tells me that we're not looking to be 7 wins again. We're looking for better. And I think that's the way this staff has looked at since day one. All right. Easy question to round it out here today. We appreciate your time, Tyler. We know you're a busy man. But what is your food spot in Blacksburg? It's one we ask every coach or player that ever comes on with us.
Food spot. I got two. If I want wings, it's PK's. All right. I'm a wing guy. All right.
Are you a cheetah wing guy?
You know what? I do like the cheetah wings. I'm not gonna lie. I learned that. I learned that from Cheetah. All right, but I do like the cheetah wings. I'm a regular medium or hot buffalo guy, though.
There we go.
All right, I like a little medium or hot buffalo with some blue cheese, and then if I want an Italian meal, I'm a big fan of Avellino's.
Okay.
Good spot in town, man. They got a great steak, a little pasta on the side. If you're not yo-yo dieting and carb cutting, which I'm doing right now, that's a good spot. But you can always go with the steak and veggies.
There we go. And I appreciate you bringing it up, because that's a good one, and that's one I haven't heard a coach or player say yet. So you got a new one on the board for us.
Got a new one on the board.
Good.
Well, Coach Bowen, we know you're busy today, as it every day. We appreciate you taking the time out of the day to spend with us here at the Boundary Corner podcast. Good luck in this upcoming season and in the spring game. We hope to see you there. And you take care, sir.
We appreciate it. Appreciate y'all's support, and look forward to being on again sometime.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay. All right. Y'all have a good one.
So we got to sit there and talk to him, and obviously we threw some questions off of him, like that Ron Crook thing. That came out of nowhere. I was expecting to go to the next question. The next thing you know, he's talking about Crook and what he does, and it's like, you know what? Let the man go. But let's throw it to both of y'all. I'm going to start with Shelton here, because, Shelton, your name got mentioned. From this interview and the things he's talking about, what's your feelings on it?
My feeling is I love it. I think it's first of all, it's great to have an offensive coordinator that is so willing to be, to do these interviews and be open with media outlets like us. I know that hasn't always been the case, but I just love hearing him talk about the complexities in the RPOs, just the wrinkles and the tags that they put in, because I was talking with a coaching friend and he mentioned how with RPOs you've got layers to it, you've got different tags. Just because something looks like a simple RPO doesn't mean that it actually is, because it can go different ways. So just those types of complexities, and seeing how the quarterback Kyron Drones kind of progress with those throughout the course of the season, making reads, making those decisions for himself. I was super impressed with how they made those little adjustments throughout the course of the year, and it was great to hear him talk about just to kind of validate what we saw in terms of the progression. So I thought it was really good. And I just love his eye for football, really.
Tally, what about you, man? What caught your ears on this interview with Coach Bowen?
First of all, Sheldon is fucking smart. When he talks, I'll be tuned in when he be talking. He be hitting me with them words. I said, boy, that boy's smart. But couple things we're gonna get into. Number one, we might be Thanos. We might be Thanos. Offensive coordinator, head coach, QB1, line coach, wide receiver coach. We got to get Marv on, man.
That's it.
we need the defensive coordinator on this show. I'm sitting here looking at it like, man, BCP done came a long way, man. Brian, give yourself a pat on the back, man. Curtis, give yourself a pat on the back. Great interview, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but y'all did a good job. Second thing that stood out to me, I got to get Tebow and get him around some more black people. We ain't eating no blue cheese. He was doing good until he mentioned the blue cheese. You got to get ranch, man. We got to get you with some ranch. Okay. Now we got that out of the way. We got all that stuff out of the way. Even before hearing him talk, interview, even before hearing him, going to what our offense does good and what he does and what he's doing, he, talked about tearing it down to the studs. What I like about him is his ability to recruit, because it doesn't matter what you run. It doesn't matter how great of a mind you are. If you're not getting players in, it don't matter. He's went and got players in.
Yeah,
he's a very relatable guy.
Yep.
He's very open and honest, just like Pry. We've talked to Chris. Shout out to Chris. He's on here. We talked to Kevin just about how he is, with the players, with the parents, with the other coaches. That's awesome to have an offensive coordinator that is, a really sharp guy, like Robbie said, but also a really open guy. Kind of what Shelton said, open with the media and things like that. But one thing, the main thing that stood out is when he talks about, building from the outside, from the inside out. That line, inside of that line, the quarterback, that great job. You know what I'm saying? His mindset, what he has moving forward. He's not even thinking about last year. You know what I'm saying? He's washed his hands with it. He can't even give y'all no examples at the moment because we're moving forward. And that's how you got to be. Because when we had Kyron on, he talked about it. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. It's a 12-team playoff next year.
Yep.
It's not far-fetched to get into that playoff for anybody right now. Especially ACC team. So Great interview, man. It was good to hear him talk about the things that they're doing moving forward. What you thinking about it, Curtis?
Well, to me, it was just talking to him how loose he was. And Sheldon, you made a point about, having the abilities to interview the coaches now and the players without, there's no pushback anymore. But there were a few times on there, we were getting ready to go to another question, and he interjected. Like he wanted to give more information out there. And you can tell he enjoys what he does because talking like the offensive, listen, when he started that helmet 6 inches outside, I thought Brian was going to get all giddy. I thought we were going to be rolling into an hour-long talk about hand placement and kick steps. You wanted to, bro.
Man, we could have had a conversation for a good while if we were just going to talk offensive line technique. But I mean, the thing that impressed me, and I mean, when I was looking at that kind of retrospective question and crafting that about Coach Friedgren. I was like, all right, so I wanted to tie that in because I felt that was important with having that connection with another coach that had a really close connection with Frank Beamer, obviously between the Citadel, Murray State, and just all those games they played against each other when they were in the ACC before Friedgren was out at Maryland. And having that with the James Franklin connection at Maryland and then all of that, I felt that was important. But kind of what we got out of that is, we've got Tyler Bowen in the quarterback room now, and that started at Maryland.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the crazy full circle stuff that we're dealing with here and that we were able to kind of talk about and hash out there. So that was really impressive for me.
Yeah. And then the RPO, TTO, PRO.
Yeah.
Get it right. It ain't just an RPO every damn time, y'all. And you learned that here on the Boundary Corner podcast today. There's multiple variations of what they're doing. And but again, overall, just talking with Tyler, again, it seems very genuine. Obviously Avellino's, I looked up the menu. I mean, it's an Italian place where they do steak. They do all sorts of food. We might hit it up the next time we are in Blacksburg, boys. But again, it was
Spring game.
Huh?
Spring game.
We're gonna try. Brian's already there. He's definitely.
I've already booked the hotel, man. We in.
He's in. I'm gonna try. I hope you try. I know you busy though, because they got you traveling for work all over the place.
That's all right. I'm gonna try. I'm trying to get up in there.
He's gonna try to find a conference in Roanoke that week. Yeah, I should go here to do my training.
Right.
That'd be hilarious. All right, so we appreciate Coach Bowen. Also, shout out Travis Wells. We had a couple minutes talk with him as we were getting. Travis has been, and I've said it a couple times. Travis has been such a great help to us, getting the players, getting the coaches, working with us at all points in time. And it's funny because Brian, we go back 25 years, man. We were watching as we were young teens. We were watching Travis Wells talk about sports on Channel 7. And now we email him, we talk to him on Zoom occasionally, say what's up. World's crazy, man. All right. We are now going to take a quick ad from our digital partners and Main Street Pharmacy and then talk a little hoops when we get back.
Brooks Running reminds us that we're all powered by something. Whether it's the me-time energy of a run after a day at the office, the electrifying energy of your first marathon, or the infectious energy of a group run with your friends. No matter what energy powers you, Brooks has gear specifically designed to unleash it. So lace up and let it out. Let's run there. Visit brooksrunning.com today to learn more.
Shaq here, spinning fast-acting pain relief with Icy Hot. Ice works fast, heat makes it last. Icy Hot, you're so back.
I can probably save you a lot of money, and I can take a lot better care of you. That's pretty much it. My name is Jeremy Counts, and I'm a pharmacist. I own and operate Main Street Pharmacy here in downtown Blacksburg. My brother's a pharmacist, I'm a pharmacist, my uncle's a pharmacist, my dad's a pharmacist. I remember he would give me M&Ms to count in little pill counters. This is just something I've always done, and I'm just lucky that what I know so well is something that I can do and feel good about it and give back to people. Pharmacies are your frontline defense. Pharmacy's job is to make sure you're getting optimal care for the lowest price possible. Also, we take the pressure off of emergency rooms. I'll tell people immediately when they need to go to the doctor, or I'll tell them if they just need a cream over the counter. If there's something that isn't commercially available, if it's something that's not available in a certain strength or a certain form or anything like that, we'll make it. Tailor-made medications. Some of those options save people a lot of money. What motivates me? I get to take care of people and live in Blacksburg. That's all I need.
As we take a quick break, we'd like to tell you about getting your free website report from our digital partner, Grassroots Digital Marketing Studio. They'll tell you how your website ranks on Google, on-site SEO, and social media. No commitment to buy anything. You can get your free report by visiting grassrootsdigitalstudio.com/free-website-report. Now back to the episode.
All righty, so let's roll in and talk a little Hokies hoops, and let's talk with these Lady Hokies, because I'm starting to count the games here, y'all. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a 10. 10 in a row since the loss at Duke. They go into Louisville Sunday afternoon, and they beat the living hell out of Louisville. They beat them by 16. It could have been more. I mean, y'all, does it feel like 2023 again? They're getting hot right down the stretch. Sheldon, I know you've been paying attention, man. What's going on with the ladies? And I mean, are those additions? Is it starting to click?
I think it is. And funny enough, it came under similar circumstances as last year, because you recall Tech got blown up by Duke last year, and that's when they won, I think, 14 straight to close out the season before losing the Final Four. And then this year they get blown up by Duke again, and then now they're starting. I think they've won 8 in a row or 9 in a row. So kind of funny how that works out. But yeah, I think they've really started to click. And throughout this course of the season, Kenny's always been talking about how it takes time for the incoming transfer players to gel and sort of find their roles. And I think now they're starting to find their roles. And, part of that is rotations. Part of that is, I think, players knowing where they need to be defensively, because Kenny Brooks runs, sort of a version of the pack line defense where, it's all predicated on help. And he said before, this team is not the best at individual defense, one-on-one defense. They would not do very well, but they do play very, very good team defense. And that only comes through, having game experience and knowing where you need to be at all times. So I think as they get more minutes together, as they get more experience and they play together as a team, you're starting to see them really sort of come together. And I think, Kenny's done just a fantastic job coaching these past few seasons. He is, even if you just take out how good he is as a recruiter, he is, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in women's college basketball for sure.
Tally, we know. Tally, y'all, a couple weeks ago, basketball hurt him. He ain't turned to pitch on. So Tally, it is 9 in a row. They're ranked number 8 in the country. And again, does it feel like 2023 when y'all are both starting to kick off?
I pay attention to the ladies. That's real basketball. I pay attention to them. I watch my girls, Georgia and Liz. They doing what needs to be done on the court. You know what I'm saying? So I'm paying attention to them. Kenny, keep doing your thing. Ladies, keep showing out. I got a little bit of a bone to pick. I don't understand how we keep on getting put behind North Carolina State.
Yes.
When we done beat that ass a couple times. I know they only lost 3 games. They're a pretty good team.
They are.
But 2 of them 3 losses done came to the Hokies, man. If y'all want to come out with these predictions, put us in front of them. That's all I'm saying.
I
watched a little bit of it. Yeah. I watched a little bit of the Duke game towards the end, and it's just, man, they don't flinch. You know what I'm saying? Like when it's time for a big shot, Georgia's hitting shots, and Liz she looks like Dirk out there, man. She's hitting that turnaround off one leg, and you can't block it. She looks like Dirk out there. So it's been fun to watch, man. And they play to their strengths, they play together, and they have the skill set to, go deep in the tournament. So I'll say that about the ladies. Kudos to them.
All right, Brian, what you got, man?
Yeah, I'll say this. I think one thing I'm seeing, maybe compared to last year, is that when it's crunch time, there's like zero panic. Like they are cool. They know they got it. They know that they're in control. So when it does get to those points where the game gets a little tighter, there's a run from the other side. They're able to kind of quickly counter that, stay confident, stay within the game plan. Never really any sort of panic mode for them. So I think that's a big thing that I'm seeing from this team at this point. And you start getting those transfer portal folks that are starting to gel within the system. You're seeing it a lot on both ends. So offense, I think gets a lot of the hype there, but I think defense is where it's shown up the most. I think defensively they've just been a lot tighter, especially in the last several weeks.
Yeah, me and Brian talked about that the other day about these ladies, about Sumel and Eck and Wenzel starting to take roles within the team. And Shelton, you just said it. Kenny said it earlier. We've got to gel, and you're starting to see that gelling factor. And now it's not all on Liz, and it's not all on Georgia. Wenzel had 8 points on Sunday. That's huge, because we know Wenzel is Georgia's backup. And if she can come in and get 8 points every time and take that pressure off Georgia, I mean, me and Brian were just saying, what if they put both of them on the court at the same time and you let Georgia run around? Like, you want to talk about just making a defense like stretch like this between Liz on the post and the way Georgia can shoot threes. I'm going to be interested to see what goes on down the stretch, but these ladies are playing fabulous.
Yeah, and I think another thing to talk about is just the number of folks in the rotation. I mean, last year was pretty much a 6-person rotation, pretty much for the whole year, and like you're seeing more of 8 this year. I think that's going to play good when we get to tournament time, because when you have 8, you can't just get worn down, you can't get beat up.
Yep.
And that was really the only thing that was beating us last year, was just that fatigue factor. I think you get 8, an 8 rotation. I think that's going to be a big boom when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah, and they also have depth at the right spots. So they've got Carly Winslow, who can come in as a backup point guard. And they've also got Claire Strack at forward, who can back up Liz. And we'll see, Claire and Liz play at the same time. So, last year, I think it was mainly Deja Gregg who came off the bench as sort of like a defensive stopper. But now, you've got, a backup for your forward and your point guard. I mean, that's a really big luxury. And, obviously with Liz and Claire on at the same time, that's just got to be a nightmare for teams to try to rebound and defend against.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So let's put the ladies, they're up here. They're on our pedestal right now. And let's talk about the men's team. Shelton foreshadowed this a little earlier, and I'm sure everybody's seen the score. Hokies win last night, 75-41 over the number 21 ranked UVA Cavaliers. I'm going to repeat that again. 75-41. Does anybody, Sheldon, Tally, Brian, what's the explanation for this team? Because you don't go shell somebody like that and have some of the games we've had.
I mean, they play, we talked about it earlier. They play good to great at home, and then the away has not looked very good. So I don't think we probably thought that we'd see the extreme of that we saw last night.
Hell no.
But, I'll take it.
Sheldon, what did you see? You clearly watched it, and or I don't know if you watched it live or you called it on, recording. What did you? I mean, to me, you don't. A team who's our record, you don't squirt. I don't give a shit if it's your rival or not. You don't beat the shit out of somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy game. I mean, they were hitting on all cylinders. I thought, offensively, Tech they always made the extra pass, and they hit shots when they had open looks, and I think defensively. They played very well. They shut down Beekman completely. They shut down Jake Groves, who is UVA's best three-point shooter. He's hitting like 50% this year, which I think is 6th best in the country. He did not have a single three-point attempt in this game. So they did a fantastic job on them. And those are really, UVA's 2 biggest threats outside of Isaac McNeely. But I think, big picture, UVA to me is a team that's been skating on really, really thin ice. They've won a bunch of close ball games. All of their losses are by very large margins, which is why the metrics don't like them a lot. So to me, I know they've got 20 wins, and I know they're a good team, but I just never really saw them as a real contending team as far as the postseason goes. So, Tech was favored by 3. I thought they would win. I did not expect them to win by this much, but I think it's a combination of, a team that usually plays well at home playing against a team that really always plays poorly on the road in UVA.
Tally, did you look up the stats? Did you look up the highlights, or are they still on here?
It ain't no need to. It ain't no need to. When you beat the shit out of somebody 75-41, that means you made some shots. They didn't make shit.
Yeah.
Sheldon, how many threes did UVA hit? 1 or 2?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. They probably hit 1 or 2 threes. That means somebody was running them off the line. We probably shot 50 threes. I don't know how many threes we shot.
23.
23. What we hit about 10? We hit about 10?
8
of 23.
So the problem is we live and die by the 3. But a lot of times when you live and die by the 3, the defense is out of position getting back, trying to stop the other team. Without watching any of this game, they just played better defense in this game, and they ran UVA off the spots. And it comes down to probably, playing at home and, being comfortable there. And a rivalry game is exactly what it is. No matter what sport it is, you got to throw the record side of the window, and you just got to go play ball.
Yeah.
And sometimes when the team start to get beat, it's like they give up. And it's probably what UVA did. It's like, fuck it, this ain't our night. Because they only hit 2 threes with, as many shooters as they have or how good they kind of shoot the three. It's probably a rough night for them. So they scored 41 points. Their high man probably had 6 points.
Third high score was 6 points.
Yeah,
so you ain't far off.
And what's wild, like, if you look at the Hokies box score, I mean, nobody really went off. It was just a complete dominant effort across the board. I mean, probably Nickel had one of his better games overall, but I mean, outside of that, no one really went off relative to their normal average. It was just everybody was doing something. There wasn't really a weak spot in the lineup.
Well, when you got a team like Virginia Tech, you have to have a game like that to win. Like, that's the way that they have to win because they don't have the guy or a guy.
Yeah.
What we talked about earlier is like you have to have everybody clicking on all cylinders just to, I would say to play at a high level and win a game. But again, sometimes when the offense is going, it translates to defense. So and vice versa. So you don't have to have somebody go for 30 points or 25 points if everybody's getting 10 to 14 or 11 here and 8 here and everybody's doing that. If you're getting that poured in from everybody, then that's kind of your formula to win. And it's not a huge difference. It is a huge difference when you look at it from the sports aspect of somebody being a 20-win team to a 15-win team.
True.
But the skill level and the talent is not like super different when you look at the NCAA basketball, men's basketball, of a 15-win team to a 20-win team. It just came down to somebody won some close games and somebody lost some close games. So I'm not saying like the Hokies are horrible. I'm never watching them again. But it's just like this year, when it was time to go win a game, we just didn't do it. We just didn't do it over and over.
We didn't do the ones we should have won. That's the frustrating part because I think we look – Iowa State's a top, 20 ranked team now. We beat them. We just smoked UVA. We've had – Vermont's always a good, smaller school. We beat them. It's those little ones. It's Miami. It's the Notre Dames. It's those ones where it's like if this team wins those 3 or 4 games, 19-7, and we're sitting here, Sheldon, 19-7, are the Hokies in?
I mean, depending on how you distribute the wins, I would say it's a pretty solid chance.
Right.
So, and I think that's probably what's frustrated Tally more is it's not that we can't beat the good teams. It's you see that Miami game and you have the lead, and it's just like it's a double-digit lead, and y'all couldn't close this out in the last 8 minutes. Are you kidding me? All right, sorry here. All right, so that's basketball. I'm sorry, I'm getting off of it because if not, Sheldon, I know you got to go, but go ahead and plug it when it's going to be coming out and stuff.
Yeah, so I wish I knew exactly within the next 2 days for sure on the key play. Just do a little breakdown of the game, talk about what the Hokies did well defensively, and maybe give some projections for going forward, just what they need to do to make the tournament. Obviously, it's going to be a tough task. I think they're probably going to have to win out in the regular season essentially. But the door's open. I think it's about 20% chance last time I checked. So I mean, stranger things have happened, but we'll see how it goes.
I think that's up from the last time we talked with you. So I guess that's progress.
Right. We're gonna let Sheldon go, and in the words of Lois Christmas, you're saying there's a chance, even if it's a small one.
I'm saying there's a chance.
All right,
there we go.
Sheldon, get out there, get some rest, finish that article up. Thanks for joining us for a little while tonight, man.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it,
Sheldon.
All righty, we got just a few more things to hit here, and since the last time we talked, we got a couple more recruits, boys. We got a couple more recruits, so let's talk about them real quick here. Both from Green Run High School down in the 757 Virginia Beach. And I want to start with Jaden Anderson, 5'11", 160-pound wide receiver. A lot of good offers here. Had looks from Auburn, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Miami. If you know where Green Run is, that's where Brody played. So he was effectively the second wide receiver there. And Brian, Tally, y'all got to kind of look at him. Tally, I'm going to let you go first because there was something you noticed about some of his tape that he's only a 3-star at an 87 right now, but you said there was something you saw on the tape that probably kept him down a little bit. I want you to mention that first.
Yeah, so he's kind of a gadget player right now from what I've seen. He's playing wide receiver. He had some I don't know exactly what his stats was, but had some good production now, but he also was playing quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So if you're evaluating him, it's kind of when you're playing multiple positions, sometimes it's harder to get that true evaluation of where you are compared to the other people playing that position. So he was doing some wildcat quarterback, but he's electric with the ball in his hands. He's fast. He's a not a very big guy, but he runs bigger than what he is. Like he's not scared to deliver a blow. So he was watching a little bit of his film. Got to be excited. Like you can't miss on kids like that. So again, Chris put it in the chat right now. He said he played quarterback in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? It's like he wants the ball in his hand. So when you have kids like that are interested in coming to help build, you don't let them go, because a kid like that was the kid who in the past we would overlook, and he'd go to Wake Forest or North Carolina, and we'd see him for 4 years or 3 years, and he'd absolutely murder us every time we played. So do not let them leave.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? If they're wanting in, you let them in. So I'm really glad to start the class off with, some positive traction. And again, like you said, Curtis, looking at his offer list, because none of that stuff means anything till you get on there and produce.
True.
They still got a whole other year, senior year to go in. But if you look at offers, man, like the kid has got offers. He's like you said, Auburn's there. He's had a couple of more people who are big time offers that was looking at him. So I'm glad we went on and snatched him up.
100%. Brian, what did you see from the tape? What did you like?
Yeah, to piggyback off Tally there, talking about his versatility, but also this is going to be probably a year where he's going to get a lot more opportunity at that wide receiver spot. That might bump his rankings up as he kind of progresses through that. But the thing I see is speed.
Brian, let me throw something out before you finish.
Yeah,
because we hit on it a little bit, but I'm looking at just his offers right now per 247. So if they wrong, y'all jump on their ass, not mine. They say Auburn offer, Boston College, Duke, Florida, Georgia, Liberty, Marshall, Miami, Old Dominion, South Carolina, West Virginia, Temple.
It's a good list.
Is his offer list.
This is a good list.
Now, I'm going to say it one time. Y'all don't even have to say nothing. We can let Brian finish talking. What if he chose Georgia? Go ahead, Brian. That's all I'm going to say.
Tally's talking about a bump there. A little bump that would happen.
A big bump.
Little bump.
93. 93. 6 points.
Too easy.
Yeah. And Tally's right about that. And looking at him, I like his skill set. He's got really good speed. I think he's a guy that could come in as kind of a tweener. He could be a slot guy. He could be kind of an outside number two. I think with his body and his frame, I think especially if he's able to put on a little more weight, I think that's something that he'd be capable of doing. But that speed, you can't coach speed. You can get a little better, but if you're fast, you're gonna be fast. And
calling it here, he's gonna be a 4-star.
Yeah, we talked about it off camera. We said, he's gonna be a 4-star by the time it's all said and done. That's been our inclination as soon as he was on our radar. So Chris backing it up, that's big time.
Yeah, and
if anybody doesn't know who Chris is, his son is Brody Adams, and he played at Green Run, so he's watched these kids for years probably. I talk to Chris all the time, and he's giving me some knowledge on kind of, what these kids can do and what kind of young men they are and their skill set that we haven't even seen. So he knows what he's talking about as far as watching them. Go ahead, Curtis.
All I was going to say is they got a couple things clocked here for him. And you talked about, y'all saw him doing a lot of different things last year. 48 passes for over 1,200 yards. Brian, do the math on that for me real quick. That is an ungodly yards per catch. 50 total TDs, 300 on the ground. 18 total TDs running and passing. What's that yards per catch? That got to be over 20.
Oh, you get me to do math?
Well, I told you to do math. It's somewhere in the
I'm
neighborhood.
gonna let you handle that.
1,200 yards. You said 48 catches.
48 catches, almost 1,300.
25 a catch.
25 a catch. I don't care if that's green run. That's 5A. That's up there. He ain't playing the little boys. In Bob Warner. That means either every time he catches the ball, he is making moves, which y'all have already said. Y'all saw on the tape.
He's electric with the ball in his hand.
He's electric.
Yeah.
That says a lot. I think Chris is right. I think, maybe he gets a bump eventually for us.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about guys being fast and we talk about guys being quick. He's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's what you want right
he's
there.
got area quickness, but he also has top end speed.
All righty. Let's talk about the other gentleman that committed from Green Run to Virginia Tech. Knowledge Harold, a 5'10 and a half, 165-pound cornerback, an 86 rated guy, top 25 in the state of Virginia, no composite yet. I don't look at the composite, but 247 puts him at an 86. Brian, real quick, what you see on tape from Knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, I like this player, man. I think he's going to be kind of a big time player for us when he gets there. Really good skills, good in coverage, not afraid to get in there and throw a lick. So I mean, it's the type of guy that we have been kind of bringing in. There's that kind of cheetah brand where, got that dog where you want to get out there, play that man coverage as much as you can, but also not afraid to put a little lick on you when you need to.
Nice. What about you, Tyler? Just see and talk to Chris.
Yeah. First of all, badass name. Shout out to his family. Yeah, badass name. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. Chris had to tell me. Badass name, and his name kind of, for me, suits what he does. Like his knowledge of the game seems to be a little bit ahead of his time. I seen him, just sideline interceptions, able to toe tap, stuff from the back of the end zone, knowing where he's at on the field. Knowing when the quarterback starts to scramble, knowing to get to certain positions in certain spots. So he's kind of playing all over that secondary, and his knowledge of the game is what kind of got me. He's a smaller kid, but I don't want to compare him to anybody yet. But if I kind of looked at what he does and what he's looking like, he kind of reminds me of like Mansour when we first seen him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
when we first seen him and we didn't know exactly what he was going to get to Tech and done, but get to Tech and do, he kind of reminds me of that on the tape. So
makes a lot of sense. So again, 4 in the class so far. Real quick on Knowledge, 3-year starter. So basically started every year. He was in high school, which is unbelievable. And it's great because you think about, the quarterback last year, and then the closest possible you could get to the university, and then down to a ground that has done so well for Virginia Tech all these years, down to 7-5 and building that pipeline back up. I'd love to see it. All right, just a few more things we want to hit before we close it out here tonight. BC got a coach. And y'all explain to me, and I know he's not the best coach, how did BC get a Bill O'Brien type coach this late in the process? Anybody got a reason behind that?
Probably because Alabama fans talked about him so bad he couldn't get no more jobs.
It don't matter.
They hated him. I don't know why. I didn't pay attention to him enough, but they fucking hated him. Everything that went wrong, they put it on him.
They did.
So maybe, maybe we
he's
just took Alabama's great word for it. I don't know if y'all checked out Willie on TikTok. He had some great TikToks. He may have said O'Brien didn't need a job and nobody picked him up. He went to BC.
Well, he was at Ohio State. He was their OC.
Okay, well, I'm wrong. What you think, Brian?
How? If this was us, we'd end up with.
I mean, it's kind of been a weird trajectory for him because he was, OC, quarterback coach at Alabama. Worked with the Patriots last year, got picked up by Ohio State, and then said, "All right, well, BC's open now, so
It's going over here.
Let's kick it on over. I mean, the Boston College and just the Boston connection in general can't be understated. I mean, I feel like that's that's something that it seems like an area that he enjoys being in. That's probably some of the allure of grabbing a guy like him at this stage in the cycle. And this might be, kind of the last ditch effort of him getting a head coaching job with the resume he has, right? So,
doesn't he turn programs around though?
He kept Penn State above.
He made sure that Penn State didn't completely die.
Yeah. So, they may have went to him with that. Well, we're in a position we need a resurrection. I don't know. You don't know what's said on these behind closed doors.
Yeah, I mean,
he just likes clam chowder.
He had 2 years at Penn State. Right after everything happened there. So, and then he went to the Texans. So, I mean, he did a good job of keeping Penn State. They didn't fall off. They weren't what they were before, but they also weren't as bad as they probably could have or should have been in that stretch. So he's a guy that's going to kind of maximize that roster, I feel like. But I don't know if he's going to necessarily, raise the ceiling.
They ain't getting back where they were 20 years ago.
No.
Ain't ever happening again.
I mean, I think he's a guy that can get them in probably year 2 or 3, can make them a consistent bowl team every year.
That's probably it.
And, I think he's got some work to do this offseason with some of the guys that they lost and things like that. So I don't think year 1's going to be great, but year 2 or 3 might look, at least kind of what we've expected from them when they've had some decent seasons in the last decade, where they're like a 6, 7, maybe 8 at the best win team.
100%. All right, let's close it out with this, boys, because as of today, it became official, even though it's been kind of official for a long time, and that is college football playoffs definitely set for 2024 with the 12 teams. And here's all the fun parts. Because they had changes with the Pac-12 in purgatory right now, because
basically dead.
Well, I sent it to text to them today, and Shelton's like, what the hell do you mean? This is wrong. And I'm like, remember Pac-12? He's like, yeah, that's right. They're in purgatory. Football's dead. Basketball and the other sports are still alive until June, and then they're all going to die. So, but 5 automatic bids. So that's basically, I mean, as it looks now, the 4 big ones plus 1 P5. One G5 school will get it. The top 4 conference champions get an automatic bid down into New Year's Eve, New Year's Day bowls, which is great. 7 at-larges. Get everything ready and write the dates down, because you got to be ready. December 20th, December 21st, the 4 playing games, 5 through 12s at the 5 through 8's home field, which I think that's something for years as college football fans, like you want to see, like some of the best teams against each other on their home field, not at a neutral site. I wish it was maybe further in the playoffs like it, but bowls are still big. We said it before, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day matters again, y'all. Fiesta Bowl, New Year's Eve night. Then the peach, the rose, and the sugar. I know Tally is just, when we win this conference, Tally is going to be the first person to book a hotel in Atlanta.
I'm going.
Tickets, because it's just up the road from him.
I'm being there, man. We get to a major bowl game. I don't know how. I don't know where. I don't know why. I'm going.
That's right.
I'm going to put a GoFundMe up. And I'm going to get wherever we got to go. And I don't like to fly. So I might have to borrow Brian's truck and take out. I don't know. But I'm going.
We're going to get there. So there's your New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Then just a few weeks later, the semifinals on a Thursday and Friday night, also in bowls this year, the cotton and the orange. I love that they moved over Thursday, Friday, because it's going to be all eyes in January on a Thursday night, in January on a Friday night, with the football world sitting there. And then finally the finals on the 20th. I'm not sure where it is this year. Don't care. But so it's out there now. And Tally, you said it earlier. 12's a game changer because you can stumble.
Yeah. It makes the games a little bit more real every week now. You know what I'm saying? Like, every game's important. Now, they always have been kind of important, but every game's important. Like, you may you may stumble early in the season. You may be a 2-loss team that could still get in.
Yep.
You just got to keep playing. You got to keep chopping wood. So,
well, and there's an emphasis across the board. So there's two things that are being emphasized with this that haven't been emphasized with the playoff as it has been since it's been put in place. That's one thing. Winning your conference matters.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the big thing.
I know Florida State probably mad as hell right now.
Yep.
Undefeated win your conference, still don't get in.
Yep. And the second thing that matters is, you talked about the stumbling early. You can stumble early and still win it.
Yeah.
So
right.
You could be a 3 or 4 loss team, but if you run that table and you get to that conference championship,
you keep winning. You're in.
You lose your out of conference games and win the conference games. It is what it is.
Yep.
You get in.
And this is where I think we all three disagree with when we hear media people talk. It's going to lessen the games. I'm like, are you kidding? There's going to be 1, 2, and 3 loss teams going into November. It's going to be what we just said. Just win. If we can just keep winning games, we're going to make it.
They talk about things being lessened and things like that, but it's pretty much exactly what we always know. Injuries matter. So if y'all say injuries matter, it depends who gets hot and who's the healthiest team.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? At the beginning of the season, this team may have been the best team, but who is healthy late in the season? Who got hot at the end of the season and who went and won?
Yeah, and the same thing that they were bitching about leaving Florida State out are the same reasons that teams are going to have a chance in this new system, right? So
exactly.
You don't have to have an unblemished record and win your conference to have a shot here. You go from maybe 6 or 7 teams feeling good about their chances heading into November to 20 teams feeling good about their chances heading into November. That's going to create a lot more buzz, a lot more eyes, because you have that is spread across a larger swath of fan bases, a larger swath of markets. Like all of that is going to play into this.
It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff goes into it. Like you said, when you talk about the markets, you know what I'm saying? Now you got some kids that's thinking about, well, maybe I don't have to go to these 4 schools to get seen or get to the playoffs.
Yep.
Maybe I can stay home and my team has a legit chance for me to play on the biggest stage. We don't know. I'm excited about it though. I think I think that along with NIL kind of levels the playing field, even though it's the Wild Wild West a little bit.
It is.
They're probably going to do some stuff to change that a little, but I think it kind of levels the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, it's no longer. I like what Brian said there. It's no longer 6 or 7 schools. It's like 20. Mm-hmm. It's like 20, and as every year that 15 to 20 could change because every year somebody who just gets hot at the right time has the right quarterback or has the right offensive line and they can just pave the way. They have a shot now. And for all these years, it was you got to be the blue blood. You got to be the blue blood to consistently be there. And it's no longer going to be that way. And I like what you say, Tally, about it's going to be easier to recruit to this because and Kyron said it. And I love to hear Kyron say it. You make that stage, all eyes on you.
Yeah.
Everybody's on you. And to me, and people say, well, you got to perform. Like, you keep making it, people going to start noticing. You know what? They're here every few years.
Yep.
What can they do for me? All right. So, fellas, that is going to wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast brought to you by Main Street Pharmacy in Blacksburg. I am Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Jonathan Talley.
Visit the website, boundarycornerbt.com. Listen to all of the recordings. If you have not, please check out the Kyron Drones interview. I know it's got some big numbers. Brian said it's been hidden in both the YouTube and the podcast. Well, y'all go listen to that young man speak, and trust me, it'll make you believe. It'll make you believe. Yeah. Follow us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all your favorite podcast sources, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We always let our buddy Jason Long play us in, play us out. I've got his live thing up. It's too cold for Jason to get out there and play the guitar on Saturdays at the farmer's market right now. I'm sure he'll be breaking back in March. Go check him out at jasonlongmusic.com. Links to all his stuff, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook pages. We thank y'all for listening. And as always, let's go.
Hokies.
Hokies.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.